Kaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome to our Saturday and Sunday morning series on the Shri Harinam Chintamani. We will just recap what we discussed in our last class and then we will begin today's session. The last class was basically the complete biography of Shri Harinam Chintamani, why Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote Shri Harinam Chintamani. And we discussed the background of the composition of Shri Harinam Chintamani and how Bhaktivinoda Thakur was facing a lot of obstacles, both internal and external obstacles. We discussed quite in detail. That time, the Christianity was spreading under the British Raj. The Bengali intellectuals were misdirected. They were attracted to the European culture. And Gaudiya Vaishnavism, because of these Apasampradayas, had a very bad name. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to fight these external obstacles. And the concocted philosophy of everything is one, I am God, you are God, everything is God. There is only one God, as Christianity proclaims, Jesus. So they also came up with the philosophy of one God in the form of Mayavadism. The Brahma Samaj, the Arya Samaj came in. At the same time, there were internal obstacles. The caste Goswamis had entire monopoly over Gaudiya Vaishnavism. They said it is only we who can spread or initiate or give the holy name. And they started misinterpreting the glories of the holy name. So we saw this verse from the Ajamil's pastime, Riyamano Harer Nama, Grinan Putropacharitam, Ajamilo Agat Dhama, Kimuta Shraddayan Grinan. So these simple Bengalis who were having naturally faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, They were chanting the holy names, taking initiation from these caste Goswamis, and they were committing sins. And when they used to philosophically inquire, they used to quote, the caste Goswamis used to quote this verse. At the time of death, Ajamil chanted the holy name, calling his son, and he attained the holy name. So they misinterpreted. Actually, uh, the holy name has to be taken pure in order to, uh, completely attain its benefits. So here that is a kaimutik nyay, kim uta nyay. So Ajamil, although he chanted Namabhas, but later on he got the Sambandha Gyan from the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas, and he perfected his life by next 6 years staying in Haridwar and attained pure devotion and ultimately attained the Lord. So all these Bengalis and Orissa who are acclaimed, who are accustomed to eating fish, in one hand they were having the bead bag, and in one hand from the market they were carrying the fish to their home to eat fish. So they were committing all nonsensical activities at the same time taking the holy name. At this time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt to give a clear understanding and the philosophy of the Nama Tattva. And that is why he composed Shri Harinam Chintamani. In fact, he composed many other books on the glories of the holy name. He composed the Sri Nama, he composed the Harinam Chintamani, he composed a work called as Bhajan Rahasya, where the confidentials of how to execute bhajan, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's own bhajan secrets, he presented in that. So that's how Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by writing a lot of literatures, he attracted the Bhadraloka, especially his books like Jaiva Dharma and Chaitanya Shikshamrit. And by presenting the philosophy in the form of these songs and the Siddhanta, he uprooted, the monopoly of the caste Goswamis. So this is a brief of what we discussed about Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life and how he overcame these obstacles with respect to Harinam Chintamani. Then we discuss the overview of Shri Harinam Chintamani. Harinam Chintamani has 15 chapters. The first 3 chapters are Sambandha Gyan, how Nam has Achinta Shakti, how to accept the name Nam Varana, Nam Grahan Vichara, and especially Nama Bhasha Vichar, Nama Kirtan Vina Nirvishesh Bhavana. What is the right conception while chanting? What kind of conception we should chant the holy name? Especially this third chapter is very, very important for sadhakas. When we go to the third chapter, we will go quite in detail about the Namabhas. And after that, chapters 4 to chapters 13 deal with the Dashanama Prad. So the name Gyan is given, Sambandha Gyan. With this Sambandha Gyan, the Abhidheya has to be executed. So within the Abhidheya, there is the Dashanam Aparad. And when one avoids this Dashanam Aparad, then he attains the Prayojan, that is Krishna Prem. And within the Prayojan, some other, 2 chapters, 14 and 15, deal with how to, become free from the Seva Aparad. And what is the Bhajan Pranali? Pranali means the methodology by which one can, attain Krishna Prem. So this refers to, the Prayojan or the Shuddha Nam, how to take the Shuddha Nam. So this is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur systematically has presented in these 15 chapters. So as we had mentioned that our methodology will be, we will be going through verse by verse of the Bhaktivinoda Thakur Shri Harinam Chintamani. At the same time, in the slides, there will be some philosophy concepts, some references from the scriptures, and some flowcharts to explain these verses, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking. And as well as we will be drawing some parallels from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where the glories of the holy name is there between the conversation between Mahaprabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur. So we had begun the discussion on the introduction, We discussed paragraphs 1 and 2. We are now in paragraph 3. So we discussed in paragraph 1 and 2, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning who has the adhikar to chant Krishna's name. Who has the adhikar to read this scripture? So I will just go to the book and show you. He says this is not an ordinary book. Those who have firm faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, devotional service, and who take the Nam Ashray are qualified to understand. And those who have faith in the sadhana bhakti, who take shelter of the holy name, can attain perfection by reading this book. Then he mentions in Shikshashram, Lord Chaitanya taught about the holy name. Lord Chaitanya also taught Haridas Thakur and selected him to be the greatest teachers of the holy name, Namacharya. So here we had finished our last discussion. Now today we will complete the introduction, and after the introduction we will begin with chapter 1. Sorry, there is this room is very close to the temple hall, and the Guru Puja is going on. So sorry for the slight disturbance. It will just end in another 5 minutes. So here is where we had stopped in our last class. That is Adhikari, the concept of Anubandha Chatushtaya. What is this Anubandha Chatushtaya? That any work has these 4 things, Adhikari. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke of the Adhikari, who is qualified to read this book. One who has faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, faith in devotional service, faith in taking shelter of the holy name, faith that by taking holy name, I can attain perfection. Then the Vishay, the subject of the book. The subject of the book is about the holy name. And there should be goal. So in Bhaktivinoda Thakur Shri Harinam Chintamani, goal, how to attain by taking holy name, the Krishna Prem. How by Shuddha Nam we can attain Krishna Prem is also mentioned in the text. And then there is a Sambandh. The text should relate to the subject. So the Vishay is about holy name, and holy name description or about the Nama Tattva only should be mentioned in the book. Like Bhagavad Gita, the song of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the Bhagavad Gita, you can see Krishna is being described. Krishna is being spoken. The texts are related to the Vishay. The texts are related to the Vishay, who is Krishna. So similarly, in this scripture also, we see that the texts are related to Krishna and the holy name. So this is, a technical aspect which, as devotees, we should understand this. In fact, many devotees, while practicing sadhana bhakti, there are many books in the Gaudiya Vaishnava canon. Canon means a set of books which are considered sacred to our parampara. We are in the Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, so we have many scriptures. So only those bhakti literatures which are given by our Acharya Srila Prabhupada and in the Guru Sharif parampara are sacred to us. But every book has a purpose, and devotees should have a clear understanding that now I want to understand how Krishna is the absolute truth. So basic books are Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is established as absolute truth, and bhakti is the highest process. I want to practice bhakti more, and I want to do sadhana by which I can attain the sadhya. So sadhana has been explained in Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction. So every book has to be studied with a particular goal. Oh, I want to, practice my sadhana very meticulously. So then there is Gyan given in Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction. So with this knowledge, I practice sadhana so that I can attain sadhya. So devotees, especially, in ISKCON, should have this very clear understanding. There are many books, in our library. One day I pick up some book, I read it, and then I close that book. Another day I pick up another book and I read it, I close it, by which we cannot really, progress ahead. So I should question, right now, what is my need? My need is that I want to chant the holy names very attentively. I want to understand the Nama Tattva. And with that, I want to, chant and uh, advance in spiritual life. So with this understanding, I study Shri Harinam Chintamani, because Harinam Chintamani deals with it. And then ultimately I attain the goal, that is Krishna Prem or Shuddhanam. So like that, we should always have these questions. This book is available in my library. What is the purpose of attaining knowledge from this book? What is the object of my knowledge? And what goal I will attain? In the Bhagavad Gita, also in the 13th chapter, Krishna mentions Jnanam Geyam Jnanagamyam. Jnanam means knowledge, Geyam means object of knowledge, and Jnanagamyam means ultimately what is the goal I will attain. If a prisoner is locked in a prison and there are ants in the prison cell, and he starts studying books of how the ant's brain functions. What is the point in studying, what you're going to do about it? There are some PhD people who have studied the brain substance of an ant. Ultimately, the prisoner should study how these prison bars are designed so that I can get out of this prison. So every knowledge has to have an object and ultimately a goal. So that is why, although this seems like a technical aspect, this Anubandha Chatushtaya, we should have this clear understanding while even studying Srila Prabhupada's books, be it Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, or Chaitanya Charitamrita, or sometimes, devotees feel in their spiritual life, lust is troubling me a lot. So then what to do? Now I have to understand what is this Krishna who is telling in the Gita, Kamesha, Krodesha, Raja Guna Samudhava, Mahashano Mahapapma, Viddihi Verinam. So Krishna has graphically described how powerful is lust in this material world. So now I want to know more how to conquer this lust. So then I study, scriptures, or I hear lectures, where, this subject is dealt. And what is the goal? Ultimately, I have to overcome lust. So this is the way we should systematically, based on these four aspects, study scriptures, study Vaishnav, scriptures. These four important points have to be noted down while studying, the any book. So this is where we had ended. Now we will go to paragraph 3. Let us read paragraph 3. Now, here Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned that Lord Chaitanya taught Haridas Thakur and selected him to be the greatest teachers of the holy name. So he is the Namacharya. And that is why in paragraph 3, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a short sketch of Srila Haridas Thakur. So we will go through this quickly. Authoritative biographies affirm that Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family. This we know for certain. So we have to accept the statements of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was born in a Muslim family. Haridas was born in a rural village named Budana. Budana is a village in Bangladesh. It is before it was the East and the West Bangladesh. West Bengal we call the East Bangladesh, East Bengal, which was now Bangladesh. Because of his previous pious deeds, he soon became attracted to the worship of Lord Krishna. Leaving home and fashioning a small cottage in the forest of Benapole, he passed his days chanting and remembering Lord Krishna's holy names. Now again, Benapole is a border between West Bengal and Bangladesh. In fact, I had the good fortune in 2010 to visit Bangladesh, and I crossed the border by the road. So from Calcutta, there is a local train which you take and reach the border. And at the border, there is a ISKCON temple. And immediately after you cross the border and enter Bangladesh, there is this Benapole. It is at Benapole where Ram Chandra Khan had sent a prostitute, and Srila Haridas Thakur 3 days incessantly was chanting the holy names, and he transformed this prostitute. So this is a place in Benapole. It's a very sacred place, and ISKCON has a very secret ashram and a bhajan kutir, and there is Haridas Thakur's murti as well as the Mataji whom he transformed. He passed his days chanting and remembering Lord Krishna's holy name. Harassed by non-devotees, he left and made a home by the Ganga's bank. So from Benapole, actually he moved to the bank of Ganga. Some wicked men sent a prostitute to corrupt him. So this is, Ram Chandra Khan. The pastime is quite elaborately described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila chapter 3. Hearing Lord Krishna's name from Haridas' mouth, the prostitute became a saintly devotee. Offering his small cottage in Benapole to the new devotee, Haridas Thakur left that province. In fact, that kutir where Haridas Thakur is to chant is still today also there. And at this place, see Haridas Thakur's magnanimity, his own bhajan kutir, he gave it to the prostitute and he moved out. Singing and singing Lord Krishna's name, he crossed the Ganga, came to Saptagram, and stayed in the home of Sri Yadunanda Acharya. Now, Yadunanda Acharya was the Acharya or the head priest of the uncles of Raghunath Das Goswami. Accompanied by Yadunandan Acharya, he again and again attended meetings hosted by the rent controller Sri Hiranya and Govardhan. In one of those meetings, he debated the glories of the holy name with a Brahma Bandhu named Gopal Chakravarti. So he used to, Hiranya and Govardhan used to regularly arrange satsangs. They were quite pious. And in one of these meetings, there was a discussion how to attain liberation. And Haridas Thakur said, just by chanting the name, we can attain liberation. And he gave the Nama Tattva of that. And this Gopal Chakravarti, who was a Sukshma Jnani, he said, Jnanis, in order to attain liberation for lifetimes together, they practice tapasya in the Himalayas, and you're telling that just by chanting the name, one can attain liberation. So he did not understand the glories of the holy name because he had not heard it from in the proper Guru Shashma Parampara. And he actually blasphemed the Vedic scriptures which extol the glories of the holy name. So he committed an offense. So here it is mentioned, Hiranya and Govardhan fired that Brahmana from his job, and because of his offense to a Vaishnava, how is that, Haridas Gopal Chakravarti committed an offense to Vaishnava? Because he committed offense to, Nama. See, this is very interesting. The first offense is to offend a Vaishnava who is propagating the glories of the holy name. So Nama Prad, how it is Vaishnava Prad? It is Vaishnava Prad because that Vaishnava propagates the holy name. So that is why it is a Nama Prad. The Brahmana developed leprosy. So because he committed this offense, he got his reactions. Haridas Thakur, being a very pure devotee of the Lord, felt compassion. He did para dukha dukhi. He did not feel nice that this Gopal Chakravarti is suffering. So he left that place. At that time, Govardhan's small son Raghunath Das became attracted to Vaishnavism by Haridas Thakur's mercy. So it is at this point that Raghunath Das Goswami got the mercy of Haridas Thakur. Sad at heart by hearing of Gopal Chakravarti's sufferings, Haridas Thakur left that place, took shelter of Advaita Prabhu in Fuliagaram, made his home in a cave by the Ganga's bank, and engaged in Nirjana Bhajan, solitary worship of the Lord. So from this place, that is Saptagram, Haridas Thakur came down to Fulyagram and took shelter of Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya every day is to get Mahaprasad. He used to cook at his home and give it to Advaitacharya and Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur had made his kutir inside a cave. And there it is said that a huge python was staying. And in fact, Vaishnavas, devotees, knowing the glories of Haridas Thakur, is to come and meet, but they were very fearful, because the smell of the python was coming there. Haridas Thakur was completely oblivious. Imagine how fearless he was. He was living with a python. And, you know, uh, the python understood, because the devotees are feeling little difficulty to meet Haridas Thakur, I should move out. So Krishna, as a super soul, directed the python to move out of the cave. And it is at this place Haridas Thakur was tested by Maya Devi. Personified form of Maya Devi, that is Durga Devi, came to test Haridas Thakur. And ultimately, this pastime is also there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Antilila chapter 3. And it is here that Maya Devi became the disciple of Haridas Thakur, and she also got Krishna Prem. Haridas Thakur initiated her also in the chanting of the holy names. And it is at this place, when Haridas Thakur was staying, that Advait Acharya, feeling the sufferings for the conditioned souls, prayed to Lord Krishna to appear in this world. Tulsi Jalamatrena Chulakena Va Vikriditam Swamatvanam Bhaktebhyo Bhaktavatsala. At this place and the Shaligram, Advaitacharya offered Ganga Jal and Tulsi and cried out for Krishna. And Haridas Thakur in his Bhajan Kutir at this place was chanting. So by the call of Advait Acharya and Haridas Thakur, the Lord descended as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is at this place this pastime happened. Now, as Haridas Thakur became famous here, he left also this place, thinking he'll leave the association of people in general and live like a hermit. But the glory of a devotee can never really be hidden. So we see in the pastime of even Madhavendra Puri, Lord Gopinath himself stole a pot of sweet rice. And that's why his name became Shirachora Gopinath. And when Madhavendra Puri got the pot, he thought, oh, people will know that, for me the Lord stole. So he immediately wanted to leave that. He left that place. So the glory of the pure devotees follows with them as the shadow follows a person. So Haridas Thakur, glory was spreading. Hearing of it, the Muslim became angry. The Muslim king of that place had Haridas arrested and made him suffer. Haridas was filled with mercy for every living being. Not considering others' faults, he gave blessings to everyone. So this pastime is there in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, how Haridas Thakur was beaten in 22 marketplaces. And those who were beating, they were getting tired, but Haridas Thakur was feeling compassion for them. And, oh, you want me to die? So he went into Samadhi. Otherwise, if Haridas Thakur, doesn't die because of the beating, these punishers who were hitting Haridas Thakur with a whip, they thought that the king will kill us. So that was the compassion of Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur went into Samadhi as though he's dead. He became Jad. And these people threw his body in the Ganga. And they came and told the king that Haridas Thakur has left. He's dead now. But Haridas Thakur came out of Samadhi from the Ganga and walked back. So this pastime is quite in detail given in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. In Lord's Advait company, Haridas Thakur met Lord Chaitanya and took shelter of his feet. So this pastime is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita again. From that time on, Lord Chaitanya engaged Haridas Thakur in preaching the glories of the holy name. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his Nam Sankirtan, he told Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur to propagate the holy name. Shuno Shuno Advait, Shuno Haridas. This pastime is there in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koroi Shiksha, Ghare Ghare Jaya. Go to each and every house and propagate the holy name. Beg that you all take the holy name. So this is very elaborately described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. When Lord Chaitanya went to Jagannath Puri, Haridas Thakur followed and lived by a Siddha Bakul tree. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Navdeep, after he took sannyas, he went to Jagannath Puri at the request of Sachi Mata. Haridas Thakur also had come there in Advait Bhavan, and Haridas Thakur requested, "My Lord, I cannot live without you. So please take me." So Haridas Thakur, Mahaprabhu agreed Haridas Thakur to come along with him, and he gave him residence at Siddha Bakul. When Haridas left this world, Lord Chaitanya personally placed him in a samadhi by the seashore and personally performed his funeral, Sankirtan, and festival. So this pastime is quite elaborately again discussed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Antilila chapter 3, the chapter The Glories of Haridas Thakur. So we can imagine what kind of mercy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed on Haridas Thakur, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept his lotus feet on Haridas Thakur's heart while leaving this world. And meditating on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he left this world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself carried the body of Haridas Thakur and did Nam Sankirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did Madhukari, begging, in order to have a huge feast celebrating the disappearance of Haridas Thakur. So this is the glory of Haridas Thakur, and we should read the pastimes of Haridas Thakur, especially in Chaitanya Bhagavat and in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it is elaborately discussed. There is one chapter dedicated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Antilila, as I was mentioning, chapter 3. But many pastimes of Haridas Thakur are also mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, especially his preaching. When the Muslim king arrested Haridas Thakur was put in a prison, and there Haridas Thakur preaches to the prisoners. That pastime is very, very relevant for us, because we are also in this prison of the 14 planetary systems. So we can see Haridas Thakur is the Namacharya, he is himself the incarnation of Brahma. But if you see throughout his life, he was chanting the holy names of Krishna, and repeatedly, one after the other in his life. If you see his incidents, he was harassed, he was prosecuted, he faced so much troubles. At Benapol, Ramchandra Khan's, tried to mislead him. At Saptagram, Gopal Chakravarti offended him. At the place Puliagram, Maya Devi tested him. Later on, the king punished him. So repeatedly throughout his life, you see that Haridas Thakur faced many, many difficulties, and he all overcame them by the mercy of the Lord. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is to say that for those who are sincere on this path is laid with thorns. A beautiful, remarkable snippet. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that for those who are sincere on this path is laid with thorns. So as we start, taking the holy names very attentively, we see that we face obstacles. Actually, these obstacles are all put forth by Krishna, so that we can rise and ultimately elevate our consciousness and become Krishna consciousness. So this is how we should see. Those who chant the holy name without any attention and commit namaprad, at maximum they can attain Swarga. Bhaktivinoda Thakur will come to that in chapter 1. But those who want to sincerely chant and from Namaprad, go to Namabas stage and attain Shuddhanam, they will see that there are obstacles at every step. And these obstacles are actually meant for our elevation. So this is how we should also see from the life of Haridas Thakur. So one paragraph he has summarized everything. Now paragraph 4 is the source of compilation of Shri Harinam Chintamani. So let's go to paragraph 4. The devotees who associated with Lord Chaitanya, maybe you have any questions regarding Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna? I'm not able to understand. Just a second, maybe the connection is getting cut off. That's what I've been told. So let me action. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Is it better? Yeah. Fine. So we have discussed about the life of Haridas Thakur. Now we will go to, oh, there's one question here. Yes. Yes, Chakravarti Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yeah, very clear.
Dandavad Pranam, Prabhuji. I just wanted to ask, I'm confused, like that might be because of my this one. Haridas Thakur was tested twice, one through the this one, the border of Bengal, and he was again tested in Kulyagram also, two separate episodes, like it's not the same, it's two separate. Okay. Okay.
No, it's not the same.
Okay.
In Benapol, a prostitute was sent by Ramchandra Khan.
Okay.
And when he was staying in Pulyagram, actually Maya Devi herself came and tested, Haridas Thakur.
Okay.
These are two separate pastimes.
Okay.
And both the pastimes are mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Antilila chapter 3.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Thank you. That was my doubt. Thank you very much, brother.
Any other questions regarding little briefly what we discussed about Haridas Thakur? Okay, so the fourth paragraph will go now. We'll discuss the fourth paragraph. The devotees, I hope the audio is clear now. The devotees who associated with Lord Chaitanya in his pastimes became very devoted to him. By his order, they preached his teachings to the world. Asking of him some questions, Lord Chaitanya made the truth of the holy name appear from Haridas's mouth. These teachings are described in many places in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, and in many other books describing devotional service. Encouraged at various times by various devotees, I have compiled an anthology of various writings describing Haridas Thakur's preaching about the holy name. In fact, when Haridas Thakur was staying in Siddha Bakul, it is at this point that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked questions to Haridas Thakur, and through Haridas Thakur's mouth, he revealed to the world the glories of the holy name. So anthology is a collection of poems or collection of various things. And while this discussion between Haridas Thakur and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was happening, and this discussion is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita quite in brief, it's not in detail. It is there in Chaitanya Bhagavat and many other books. But when this discussion was going on, there are many other devotees who were there listening to this discussion. And there were many other disciples of Haridas Thakur who heard these conversations and they compiled, books. So here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions, I have compiled an anthology of various writings describing Haridas Thakur's preaching about the name. From different faraway places, I have gathered many books about Haridas. seeing the statements of the Sahajiyas, Baulas, and many others are only incoherent ramblings that have no value. I have taken great care to avoid their words. So, although there were bona fide disciples of Haridas Thakur and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who heard these conversations and wrote books, there were many other books explaining about the holy name, but they were all written by Sahajiyas and Baulas and all upper Sampradaya Acharyas. They are not Acharyas in one sense. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur firstly got, collected all the books about Haridas Thakur, and then he separated those books which are written by unbonafide commentaries. In this way, I found one or two books explaining the pure Vaishnava philosophy. Can you imagine? Out of all these books, he only found one or two books which were explaining the pure philosophy. Actually, there were 16 titles in 32 manuscripts, books pleasing to the Rasikas. So there were 16 titles and there were 32 manuscripts. I don't know what exactly it means, 16 titles and 32 manuscripts. But within this, this collection of only about Haridas Thakur, he only found one or two books which were pure Vaishnava philosophy was spoken. At this time, I was very happy. Sri Haridas Thakur taught the glories of the holy name to various pure devotees, and in their Gurudev's name, these disciples wrote various books. So, as I was mentioning, while this conversation was happening between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur, various disciples wrote books in the name of their Gurudev, that is, in the name of Haridas Thakur itself, and this is allowed, by the mercy of the spiritual master. uh, this kind of a compilation is allowed. That's how Brahma Samhita is also there. All these books I found contained Haridas Thakur's teaching about the holy name. This book, Harinam, Shri Harinam Chintamani, is a compilation of those teachings. So from these books, which spoke the conversation, which were pure Vaishnava Siddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, composed Harinam Chintamani, taking the teachings from these books. So Harinam Chintamani is basically a own work of Bhaktivinoda Thakur from the text, which were written by the disciples of Haridas Thakur with respect to the conversation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur. Now, to please the devotees whose only wealth is Lord Krishna, I now publish this book. I do not think persons who are not devoted to the holy name, persons who do not think Lord Krishna is their only wealth, should read this book. I have no wish to hear the foolish arguments of the non-devotees. So here again he speaks about adhikar. First is one who is not devoted to the holy name, Namashraya, and one who is not devoted to the Lord. Because the Lord can be attained only through the holy name. So that's why again he puts the adhikar here. Now, the last paragraph speaks about how perfection can be attained through bhajan and the prayojan. That is, as I told, prayojan is most important. There are many paths of sadhana bhakti. Taking shelter of the holy name is one of these paths. Navida, sadhana bhakti is of Navida anga. There is the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So, like that, sadhana bhakti can be practiced with any of these paths. But Tara Madhya Sarvashresht, Nama Sankirtan, Niraprada Namalay, Paye Premadhan. So, among them, Tara Madhya, Nama Sankirtan. When we take up to the chanting of the holy names, especially Niraprada Namale, when one offenselessly chants the holy names, Paye Premadhan. So here the topmost path is taking the holy name. From the time of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the exalted devotees have followed this path. That is Nama Bhajan. Our path is of Nama Bhajan. We have to do Nam Bhajan, which was taught by Haridas Thakur So this, chanting Nirantar Nam is taught actually by Haridas Thakur. For a long time, the devotees residing in Vraj forest have followed this path, and starting a few days before them, the Bhajananandi Vaishnavas in Jagannath Puri have also followed it. So Haridas Thakur's, methodology of doing Nam Bhajan was inculcated by the six Goswamis in Vrindavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave teachings to the six Goswamis, and the Goswamis also had association of Haridas Thakur. Rup and Sanatan were, when they visited Puri, they used to stay with Haridas Thakur. So they also learned Nam Bhajan from Haridas Thakur, and they practiced this Nam Bhajan in Vrindavan. And also Jagannath Puri, because Jagannath Puri, where Haridas Thakur was saying, with my own eyes, I have seen how they follow. So these Bhajananandis were, there in Jagannath Puri and also in Vrindavan, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur has seen them at the end of their Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas. Sri Sanatan Goswami and Sri Gopal Gota Goswami clearly wrote about this method of performing pure devotional service, a method that consists of living in a solitary place and always hearing, chanting, and remembering the holy name without offense. So this, what here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking, is called as Nirjana Bhajan. Nirjana Bhajan means solitary worship of the holy name. Only a liberated soul. Now mark here, and I'm emphasizing here, only a liberated soul can perform this Nirjan Bhajan. And Prabhupada never recommended, for us to take up this path. There are these two categories, Bhajananandi and Goshtanandi. The Bhajananandis, in a solitary worship, a solitary place, they do their bhajan and they don't preach. The Goshtanandis are also those who do bhajan as well as they preach. So it is recommended that we, take this path of Goshtanandi. Bhajananandi is not recommended, especially in today's age, after 500 years back, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. So we are Goshtanandis. We should, preach the glories of holy name and allow people to take shelter of the holy name, by which we will get Nam, mercy of Nam Prabhu. And also we should, in our practices, especially when, we are every day morning getting up, we should have a solitary place for ourselves where we can just tune into the holy name. So even in our house or in the temple, we should do that, and we should, regularly go to yatras where we can just, take shelter of the holy name and try to, intensify our sadhana. So this is a balance we should have between this Bhajananandi and Goshtanandi. Shri Harinam Chintamani is written in a meter Payara. Payara is, I don't know what is this meter, but it is a Bengali meter which is very, very sweet and melodious, where we can, it's a very simple Bengali, and it is a particular meter. I am not accustomed to this meter. So we don't know how, when we'll be reciting the verses in what meter I'm reciting, but this is the meter he has composed. Women, children, and persons unlettered in Sanskrit can easily learn Lord Chaitanya's teaching from it. So Harinam Chintamani is composed in such a simple language, where the philosophy is so nicely explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that even those who don't know Sanskrit, who are not so much educated, they can understand Lord Chaitanya's teaching. In this book, I have not placed any Sanskrit codes, for that might trouble them. So the audience here are the Bengali and the Orissas. And I have, in our course, we will be quoting some Sanskrit verses, because we are not pure Bengalis who can understand. So we are, many who are attending here are quite educated. So we will be drawing parallels from the, Sanskrit quotations in our PowerPoint presentations. Other books have already woven a great garland of scripture quotes about the holy names. There are many books which only quote the, glories of the holy name, Padma Puran, so many, verses are there in various scriptures about the holy name. So there are other books. So that's why he is not mentioned in Shri Harinam Chintamani. Harinam Chintamani follows the statement of all those scriptures. So based on the praman of the glory scriptural quotes, Harinam Chintamani has been, written. If Lord Krishna wills, may this book be promptly published for the benefit of devotees. So here again, Krishna gar ichha karenge. This is a mood of Sharanagati. So now, this book has been published and widely being circulated, and now we can take shelter of this book. So this is about the introduction. So any questions, any clarifications you have regarding the introduction? If you have any questions, you can raise your hands and we can now begin with chapter 1. Yeah, there is one question here. Yes, Vikram Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. We
Yeah.
just now discussed about the devotional service to the Lord. My question is regarding devotional service to the devotee of the Lord and the demigod of devotees. Are they in the same level or?
No, see, devotee or bhakti specifically refers to Bhagwan. Bhagwan is Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the word bhakti or bhajan refers to only devotion to Him. Whereas demigod worship, demigods are appointed, representatives of the Lord to manage the universal affairs of this. And they are also living beings, but having very high power and post. Just like ministers, they are also ordinary citizens of this, country, but because they are sitting on the post of ministership, they get a royal car, they get police protection, they have power, so much power they have. So these powers also, which the demigods have, ultimately Krishna has bestowed them. So those who worship the demigods, they worship, to attain wealth, to attain, things of this world. So this is not devotion. So this comes in the karma kanda category. So this is the difference between, worship of demigods and worship of the Supreme Personality. Worship of Supreme Personality of Godhead is done uh, because that is the swarup of the jiva. Jiva is swarup hai Krishna era Nityadas, and it is completely on the spiritual platform. Whereas demigod worship is based on one's conditioning, swabhava. Somebody is tamasic, he will worship, the devatas in the tamagun. Somebody who is rajasic, he'll worship Indra, Chandra. Somebody is sattvic, he'll worship other devatas. But they are not the real nature of the soul. The real nature of the soul is to love and serve Krishna in pure devotion. So that is, that is pure devotion, and that is worship of, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, because ultimately the demigods are also jivas, and they are part and parcel of Krishna. Just like the ministers also are human beings, they are also living beings. They are not, they are also jivas like us, but because they have this post about Sukriti, that they have got this post of ministership. Similarly, these demigods have done pious activities and they have got this post. They have been appointed, cabinet in Krishna's cosmic administration. So that is the difference between the demigods and worship of Vishnu or Krishna. So we will just begin with we have 10 or 5 more minutes. We will just begin with the first 4 verses of Shri Harinam Chintamani. Now, I'll again take you to the slides. Chapter 1, the glories of the holy name, Shri Nama Mahatmya Suchana. So here, in the slides, we will only see the, sections and maybe scriptural citations. We will be just reading the verses and giving explanation. Text 1 to 4, which we'll discuss today, invocation and setting the scene. So let us go to text 1 to 4. गदाय गौरंग जय जानव जीवन सीता द्वैत जय श्रीवासादि भक्तगण Glory to Lord Chaitanya, to Lord Gadadhar, Gadai Gauranga, and to Lord Nityananda, the life of Janavadevi. Jaya Janavi Jivana. Glory to Advaita and the husband of Sita, Sita Advaita Jaya. Glory to Shivas and all the devotees of the Lord. Shivas Adi Bhaktagana. So Gadai Gaurang is, Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar. In many of the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur mud, we can see there is Gaur Gadadhar. There is a worship of Gaur Gadadhar, and this is little confidential because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani. So it is internal worship in the mood of Radha and Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada felt it important that we propagate. We cannot understand this confidential worship. So Prabhupada, wherever he established temples, he established in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, Nitaya Gauranga. And Nitaya Gauranga, you see, are propagating Nama Sankirtan. So Nama Sankirtan, by propagating Nama Sankirtan, we worship Nityananda Prabhu and Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And then there is, Janava Jivan. Janava Jivan is Advaita Nityananda Prabhu with his consort, Janava Devi. And then Advaita Acharya with his consort, Sita Devi. Lavana Jaladi Tire, Nilachal Shri Mandire, Dharu Brahma Purusha Pradhan, Jive Nistarita Hari, Archa Rupa Avatari, Bhoga Moksha Karena Pradhan. On the shore of salt water ocean, Lavana Jaladi Tire. Lavana means salt, Jaladi Tire means on the ocean bank. Nilachala Shri Mandire. In Nilachal, in a beautiful temple. Shri also refers to beautiful. The Supreme Personality of Godhead descended in this world. Dharu Brahma Purusha Pradhan, Archa Rupe Avatari. He assumed the form of a wooden deity, Daru Brahma, to deliver the conditioned souls. Jive Nistara Hari. He gives both happiness and liberation. Bhoga Moksha Karena Pradhan. Shri Dhame Shri Chaitanya Manavi Karita Dhanya Sannyasi Rupite Bhagavan Kalite Ye Yuga Dharma Bhujaite Tara Marma Kashi Mishra Ghare Adhishtan. In this holy abode, Shri Saidam, Saidam means that abode. That abode is Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya stayed in Kashi Mishra's house. Shri Chaitanya, Kashi Mishra Ghare Adhishtan. To bless the human race, Manavai Karite Dhanya, and to teach the heart of true religion. Sannyasi Rupete Bhagavan, Kalite Ye Yuga Dharma, Bhujayate Tara Marma. The true religion. Marma means pure religion for the Kali Yuga. Nija Bhakti Vrindalaya, Nija Kalpataru Hoy, Krishna Prema Dene Sarva Jane. Nana Mate Bhakta Muke, Bhakta Kata Shuni Shuke, Jiva Shiksha Dena Suyatane. Taking his liberated devotees with him. Nija Bhakta Vrindalaya, Gaurangera Sangigana, the associates of the Nikta Mukta Karimane, they are liberated souls, as Narottam Dasa goes. Nija Kalput Hoy, he became like the Kalpa Vriksha. Krishna Prema Deya Sarve Jane. To everyone, he taught the science of love for Lord Krishna, Krishna Prem. Nana Mate Bhakta Muke Bhakta Kata Shuni Shuke. He happily heard the science of devotion from the mouths of many different devotees. So, from the Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, the Shiksha of liberation was taught. From Ramanand Rai, the Rasa Tattva, Rai Ramanand Samvad, which is there in the Madhya Lila. Rup Goswami was given Rup Shiksha, and the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is there, the science of Rasa. And from Haridas Thakur, Nama Tattva, the glories of the holy name. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard from Ramanand Rai, he heard from Haridas Thakur, and that's how through his own devotees he taught to this world. Jiva Shiksha Den Suyatana. And he carefully taught the conditioned souls. Suyatana means very carefully he taught through his disciples, the glories of rasa, the glories of nam. So this is in 4 verses what we discussed today. Tomorrow we will discuss the remaining verses. There are around 81 verses, and we'll quickly, verse after verse, go through and finish this first chapter. And this is the methodology how we will be seeing. Now, there is a statement here made, kalpa vriksha. What is this kalpa vriksha? I would like to elaborate a little bit on this. And here this is from the chapter 9, the desire tree of devotional service, Chaitanya Charitamrit, Adi Leela, chapter 9, text 4, which was mentioned, kalpa vriksha. A summary of chapter 9 has been given as follows by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Prabhava Bhashya. In this chapter, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita has devised a figurative example describing the desire tree of bhakti, kalpa vriksha. The bhakti is compared to a kalpa vriksha. Nigama kalpataror ghalitam, shukamukad amrita. Kalpataror. Kalpataror is a kalpa vriksha. It's a figurative. It is figurative. It's not literal. He considers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as Vishwambar, to be the gardener of this tree, because he is the main personality who has taken charge of it. So Vishwambar is the gardener. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken the role in the, in the garden. He has taken the role of a gardener. As a supreme enjoyer, he enjoyed the fruits himself and distributed them as well. So the gardener enjoys the fruit first and distributes to others. The seed of the tree was first sown in Navdeep, the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then the tree was brought to Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri and then Vrindavan. So, the propagation of the holy name Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began in Navdeep. Then he moved in his sannyas leela to Jagannath Puri. And through the Goswamis, he spread it to Vrindavan. The seed fructified first in Srila Madhavendra Puri and then his disciple Ishwar Puri. So this Prema Ankur was first fructified in Madhavendra Puri, this Radha Krishna worship. And Madhavendra Puri gave it to his disciple Ishwar Puri, and through Ishwar Puri, his disciple Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the figuratively described, it is figuratively described that both the tree itself and the trunk of the tree are Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the tree itself, entire tree, the trunk of the tree is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Paramanand Puri and 8 other great sannyasis are like the spreading roots of the tree. So the tree has roots down. The more deeper are the roots, the more solid, easily situated the tree. So similarly, like foundation, the more we advance in spiritual life, the more we grow, we should be solidly having the roots in the form of taking shelter of many Shiksha Gurus who will see that we are carefully protected. So Paramanand Puri and the 8 other sannyasis are spreading the roots of the tree. So this is how they have spread the roots very solidly. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to stay with all these sannyasis in Jagannath Puri, and they used to have very loving reciprocations and discussions. From the main trunk, there extend 2 special branches, Advaita Prabhu and Nityanand Prabhu. And from those branches grow other branches and twigs. So there is the trunk, and there are 2 branches. One branch is Nityanand Prabhu, one branch is Advaita Prabhu. And there are other branches and twigs. So that the other branches. The tree surrounds the entire world, and the fruits of the tree are to be distributed to everyone. So this tree, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has got, the Krishna Prema, Harinama, it is spread entirely all over the world. In this way, the tree of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu intoxicates the entire world. And we can now understand the glory of Srila Prabhupada because he took this Hare Krishna Mahamantra all over the world. And all over the world, people are now taking the holy name and getting intoxicated in Nam Sankirtan. It should be noted that this is a figurative example meant to explain the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So how the mission of Lord Chaitanya Srila Prabhupada himself fulfilled. How glorious is Srila Prabhupada? This is right from the summary study of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 9. So this is in respect to the Kalpa Vriksha. So we will stop here. Just 5 minutes more I took just to finish this first 4 verses. Tomorrow we will continue and discuss the other verses, and this is how systematically we'll go through the Harinam Chintamani. Any questions, any clarifications if you have? There is one question, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Generally, our regular rounds of chanting is done solitary and thus falls into Bhajananandi. How to convert it to Goshtanandi? Generally, devotees who chant their regular rounds, they should chant in the association of devotees. It is very, very pertinent and important. Pertinent means important, that we come in the association, sit in the form of a circle, and regularly chant our rounds. This has tremendous impact. Of course, we should sit in circles, and we should have the tulsi in the center, and we should chant very softly so that we can hear the Mahamantra ourselves. In fact, the next devotee is sitting to us, we should not hear his sound vibration. We should hear our own sound vibration. And this is how what Rupa Goswami recommends in the Nectar of Devotion. Japa means japa should be chanted softly. Kirtan is loudly chanted in the association of devotees to glorify the Lord, the deities. Sankirtan is still louder chanting done in the streets so that others can hear and get attracted to the holy name. But japa should be chanted a little softly. Now, this is very difficult for the sadhakas in the beginning stage, because of trying to concentrate on the holy name, because the mind wanders in all directions and there are unlimited impressions in the chitta, in the heart. So we are battling with the mind, because the moment we start taking the holy name, unlimited thoughts come out. The mind starts wandering all over the universe. So we start battling with the mind, and it's like a tussle going on. We start chanting loudly so that we can hear. So this happens to sadhakas. So in that case, those who are not able to chant softly, maybe they can move aside from the group and chant in a little place in the shelter of the association of devotees, maybe in front of the deities or maybe in front of Prabhupada, within the temple. So this is what they should do. When you chant and sit in circles and chant, what happens is it acts like a protection barrier from backside, a guard, so that our consciousness doesn't wander here and there. So this is very, very helpful for sadhakas, uh, even if they are practicing sadhana for 10-15 years. And especially those who are at home, one should make a place where the deities are there, where it is free from distractions, where one can fix and hear and chant for the pleasure of deities. And he can also have a place within his room where he can keep tulsi and chant, because when we are at home, our consciousness is about what are the things to do at my home. I have to go and get groceries. I have these things to do. So the consciousness is absorbed about family things, about children, about education. So many things are there. So we have to, make sure that we go in a place where we can simply tune into the holy name. So we have to make a space, sacred space, within our homes also, where we can just tune into the holy name, by which where we can have nice pictures in a small room, nice pictures of who are our Ishtadev, have a tulsi, and without distraction, even from family members, try to chant. So this is recommended, but firstly we should do that by going to temple. So it is always recommended that if every day it is not possible to go to the temple, at least in a week once or twice, try to go to the temple, and then slowly, slowly, what mood is there in the temple while chanting in the association of devotees, that you can bring back at home and slowly get the inspiration to chant. So yes, solitary worship is not recommended, especially solitary chanting is not recommended. Difficult, mind wanders a lot, especially in the conditioned stage in sadhana bhakti. Thank you very much. Any other questions, clarifications? So I will, there's one question. I will send the recording and post it in the group. So we'll wind up because it's 8:30 now. I've already crossed 10 minutes more. So we will wind up now and we will take up tomorrow the continuation of these verses of discussion. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Harinam Chintamani ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna.